And by now, most of the topics which were meant to be debated here have already been debated. I have been asked to speak. In fact, I have offered to speak on the crafts of Kashmir. Initially, the idea was to talk about the endangered crafts. But when you talk about crafts of Kashmir, you have to, it's a living situation for us. It's our social, cultural, economic, employment, is everything that matters to us as a community is contained or covered under the canopy of crafts. We have been talking about historical evolution of crafts. We have also been talking about the skills involved in the crafts. But a stage has come, we should change the idiom or perhaps advance the idiom and bring it or align it with the modern kind of a situation where we talk about employment, we talk about age groups, talk about future. And for that we got a platform. UNESCO, all of you would be knowing, is talking about monuments, talking about history, talking about archaeology. They've also decided about 10 years, 12 years back that they should talk about intangible cultural heritage as well. And they have selected, I'll run through this presentation, some areas where they think there's a lot of human ingenuity, creativity which is involved in these pursuits. And this should be recognized. And obviously UNESCO has offered this platform. And for crafts, the platform was open or is open to the cities mainly. And they have created this platform under the banner of Creative Cities Network. And cities are designated every 2 years in the normal process of nominations which is involved in UNESCO selections. It's a very thorough exercise, a detailed exercise, and on that basis every year from country like India they pick up 2 areas which are designated. So Kashmir has been picked up in 2021, and we had the privilege of presenting the dossier for crafts. So I will rush through this dossier. But before I rush through this, present this dossier and the history of crafts, also the issues with traditional crafts, I would like to correct an impression in the morning when I said there are not books available on cuisine. I was meaning to refer to the researched books of origin of the cuisine. Otherwise, we are in a very substantial, we have substantial presence in terms of books on our cuisine. Perhaps one of the best ones from Nehrus. So I just wanted to correct that. But Srinagar was designated in 2019, the nomination was made in the 2019 as the city of crafts and folk arts. So I just wanted to briefly mention what this concept is. This is this UNESCO Creative Cities Network which nominated this city under this program. So I will not take time. This program is the Creative Cities Network, and different countries are participating as state parties, India being one of the state parties. The network for creative, this is something important because these are the concepts which are evolving concepts. They are futuristic concepts. And now perhaps all these things in creativity, in tradition would be read through these prisms. So these are very important for us. Like crafts, media, arts, film, design. Now you can see the interesting combination. Gastronomy, literature, music, and the common thread is the creativity, creative ingenuity of the area which offers to present their specialization. Like Kashmir would also go for gastronomy. We are also in the literature, we are in the music, but the best foot forward when we thought about it was perhaps the crafts. And suddenly Lucknow is gastronomy, Calcutta is literature. So everything has been put in a situation so that now you know Craft is not something which is just a craftsman. He is of a similar style or designation as somebody who does cuisine, as somebody who does music, as somebody who is an author. Because these are the elements of creativity. So that is the program. Now, areas of action. I can't see this. Unless you all give me the laptop. Yeah. Okay, that's good. So at the national level, in this year, the participation, the application has run from 64 states out of 44 countries, and India already has Jaipur for crafts, Chennai and Varanasi for music on the World Craft Stage Network platform. Now let's run through Srinagar city and talk about the major crafts and the status of crafts obtaining on ground. If you see this pointer is no? Okay, doesn't matter. This pinkish area is the old city of Srinagar, which also has the highest concentration of craftspeople. This city is still located on the Silk Route, which we all know has been a route on which ideas, technologies were transmitted in and out. And that is the identity of Srinagar had till last century. Now, we talk about the creativity and we talk about the crafts in terms of products. We should also be talking in terms of numbers, in terms of the participants. The participants are the craftspeople. So going back to the history of the crafts, we have this interesting line from Walter Lawrence, who did this book on Valley of Kashmir, in which he says that Kashmiris have won, this as of 19th century, a great reputation as artisans and were celebrated in the olden days for their skills in art manufacturers. But I'm sure even while he was here, it was not the was, is the most reputed city. We still were, but that only hints towards the glorious past we had, which Walter Lawrence was mentioning here. This famous story about French empress picking up shawls is also a story, but the legend is interesting. Kashmiris are very good at evolving stories about what they do. They never had kind of a command on writing their history. So they express their history through stories, through legends. But when you go to the history of crafts, we have generally been hearing that these crafts have come from Central Asia. Well, everybody talks about it. Everybody, including the craft historians who talk about it. That crafts came from Central Asia, and we have Central Asian crafts, and most of the crafts have been delegated to a knowledge pool which was existing outside Kashmir in Central Asia. And Central Asia at that point in time had cities like Samarkand. And at one point of time, it was not competing, it superseded Paris as Urus Balad, the Dulhan of the cities. So that is the kind of city. Duglat came from Mughal background. Duglat is pre-Mughal. In fact, he was here during the Sultanate period. He never became the king, but he became ruler of Kashmir. He is the first outside historian, non-Kashmiri historian who has written in Kashmir, the first book. Is from Mr. Mirza Duglat. He did not write about Kashmir, he wrote the history of Mughals by the name of Tariq-e-Rashidi. Farooq Saab would know it. In Tariq-e-Rashidi, because he ruled Kashmir for 10 years, he also has a chapter, or perhaps 2 chapters on Kashmir. So that's how from the outside we were represented. He makes a very interesting comment. Even while this idiom of everything coming from Central Asia was prevalent in Kashmir, he says, I have seen crafts in Kashmir which are nowhere seen except Samarkand. And nowhere is his territory, which is Central Asia. And why he says Samarkand is because he owned that city. If you know something about Mughal history, you would know what Samarkand is. That is beyond desire for Mughals. Samarkand is something which is more in the realm of... Sorry?
Nothing, please.
Sorry. So, Samarkand is something which is beyond desire for Mughals. I mean, nothing can supersede Samarkand. Therefore, he had to say, otherwise it is not possible. Something was existing in Samarkand, it would not have been in other cities of Central Asia. But even in Samarkand, he says the wooden crafts of Kashmir, I could not even find in Samarkand. So this Central Asian origin of Kashmiri crafts would have to be taken with some consideration and with some idea about areas other than Central Asia. Now, how old are our crafts? We have, in the popular history, I keep on referring to popular history because that is the common belief. We have been saying that these crafts came to Kashmir along with Shah Hamdan, the great preacher, saint, scholar, who came here late 14th century. So whatever you hear or read about Kashmir, or whatever good you hear and read about Kashmir, is supposed to have been initiated after the arrival or on the arrival of Shah Hamdan. And it's not for nothing that everything is attributed to Shah Hamdan. Shah Hamdan was a colossus of a personality, a very well-known scholar, a very well-known saint on this whole region from Kashmir to Central Asia. So there's no surprise in most of the things that are attributed to him, but that's his personality which impacted it. But when you look at the crafts of Kashmir, you will have perhaps now a stage has come, look slightly back. Shah Hamdan is 14th century. We had a Kashmiri Sanskritist and a poet who ran away from Kashmir. His name was Bilhana, 11th century. He goes to South India, in Vijayanagaram, King Vikramaditya, he becomes his court poet. But coming from Kashmir, he was longing for Kashmir. In his poetry, which is extant and which is known, he is missing something there. And he is lamenting on that loss. And there is a line which has been translated openly in English, where what he misses in South Asia, so South India, which is perhaps area around Karnataka, is the beauty of breasts of women from Kashmir, with a delicate animating of saffron. The second line is important for our purpose. Those Ranku deer wool blankets give off a fragrance of musk. So this is the existence of Ranku blanket. Now what is Ranku blanket? Ranku blanket is Shahtush blanket. Ranku is the name of the animal from which you get Shahtush. You don't get Shahtush now. It's a banned item. It's a category 4 item. So 11th century, obviously Kashmir had the skill of weaving Shahtush, which is about 300 years before the arrival of the great saint Shah Hamdan. So that takes our craft history